We're recording now. All right. I always start these sessions by asking the same question, which is, how many of my typing sessions have you seen before?
Like one or two, but not all the way through.
Okay, cool. Uh, can you tell me what time it is where you are?
Two.
Okay. Can you tell me what time you got up this morning?
Shoot. Um, Maybe 11:30.
Okay. Do you normally
Yeah,
sleep in on the weekends, or is that an everyday thing?
I can always sleep. If I'm laying down, I can fall asleep. It's bad.
Okay. Um, how many hours of sleep do you think you need a night?
Golly, really? Like I could function on like 5 or 6, but if I can sleep, I will sleep, and I could sleep 10 plus hours every night if you let me.
Okay. So, if you were to ask me what gets me out of bed in the morning, I'd say, well, besides having to pee, it's this thought that, well, if I get up for good, I'll go have a cigarette, and that'll be nice.
Mm.
Is there any equivalent for you?
Um, Only on the days that I work.
What do you look forward to when you're getting up on the days that you work?
It's not that I'm looking forward to it. It's more like that's the only motivation to get out. To get up is the obligation to be out of bed.
Okay. Once you're out of bed, how do you deal with the ontological stress of you'd rather be in bed? Do you try to
Mm,
ease into the day, or you try to hit the ground running?
mm, Probably hit the ground running
Okay. Do
so
you
I can
have
just get moving.
Do you have a consistent routine as to how you deal with food in the morning on days that you work?
No, there's
Just
no routine on that. Uh-uh.
okay. So some days you might make oatmeal, some days you might go through McDonald's, some days you might get donuts.
Sometimes I'll go to Starbucks. Yeah, if I have enough time, I'll go to Starbucks.
Okay. And do you get food or just beverage there?
Both.
Okay.
So I spend way too much money.
Yeah. Well, Starbucks is Starbucks. You know, it's like some people. My daughter really likes Starbucks, and she used to work there, and she has all these specific like drink requests. Like I
Uh
get
huh.
4 pumps of meow with a meow 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 and meow 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 meow. Uh, okay. Can you tell me about the kind of media you consume when you aren't consuming media that's teaching you anything?
mm. Really just Google random shit. Um, so there is not any specific thing. It's really just Googling something I have a question about in that very moment that I may Google.
But when you're not learning anything,
Ah,
like for example,
in,
I
like
watch.
Instagram,
Okay, I'm talking more like TV shows, movies, things like that, or books
it always kind of varies depending on my mood.
that you
But
consume just for entertainment.
we'll go with when I'm in a big reading mood. I may want to pick up a psychological thriller for comfort
I
because that's so
see.
comforting to me. Um, what's something else? I just finished Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that such a great show?
Oh my God.
Uh,
So
but
juicy.
yes, I was trying to linger so I could because it's not coming out. The other season isn't coming out until next year. Next year. So, but that's a show that I really like.
Well, you might enjoy
On-
me and Rachel's review of it because after we finished the 10th episode, I just had to make a video and just gush about it because it was like, oh my God, this show is just blowing me away.
it's such a great show. It just really makes me want to get into karate so bad. So I'd say that's a good one. What's another thing? Mm,
But let me ask you this question about Cobra Kai since we both know the show well.
okay.
What kind of scenes in Cobra Kai are most difficult for you to watch? And if you need examples, I'll give you some example
Ooh, that's a
possibilities.
good question. Um, huh. Okay. Probably when It seems like Daniel and Johnny are doing okay, and then there's conflict again. I think that's really uncomfortable for me because I feel like, okay, we're doing good. We're starting to make a merge here, and then it seems like they're not totally good again. That's really uncomfortable for me because it brings up that conflict. Um, and I just really want Johnny to succeed.
So
You know,
you think Johnny's the hero of the show, basically?
I do. Maybe because I can also relate more to Johnny in some ways. Um, I don't know. I mean, Daniel had a really tough background too. Um, but Daniel just seems kind of arrogant in a lot of other ways.
Well, he does seem to. I mean, I'm proud of the writers for muddying his character's, you know, virtue a little bit instead of just leaving him this perfect little angel because he does get his hands dirty a little bit,
Yeah, yeah.
and
They're all so complex. Like every
yeah.
character, it's like every time I want to hate on a character, it's like, well, they got good qualities too. And then every time I fall in love with a character, they're kind of shitty. And I'm like, wow, that's human, right? Like that's so human to be so complex and have both good and bad.
Right.
Um,
Except
I think,
Silver. Silver's all bad.
yeah, and so I think consistently, I and I don't know why. It's like I'm trying to like understand why I feel this way, but consistently, I'm not very crazy about Samantha.
Well, at the end there, they definitely had it set up where Tori had to win the thing because.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
interesting. Have you ever heard me ask the question about the astronaut in the ocean?
No, I have not.
All right, somebody comes up to you and says, "Boy, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean." What do they mean?
I have no idea, but if I heard that, I'd probably laugh. Um, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. I'm guessing they're not doing so good if they're an astronaut in the ocean, but I would still laugh if I heard it.
Okay, now think of the order of operations of the Apollo space program era space launches, like
Okay.
getting from putting the astronauts into the spacecraft to welcoming them home at the base. Think about the steps that goes from that beginning of the mission to the end of the mission, and see if your interpretation changes.
Mm, um, not really.
Okay.
So what does it mean?
Can you walk me? Well, okay. Let me ask you if you can do this. Can you walk me through how many steps do you think you should break the process of sending a man into orbit? The mission is send a man into orbit and welcome him back home in front of the TVs at the NASA home base and wherever. So, what would be this? How many steps would you break that into?
Oh my goodness. Do I have to know about space now?
Just very simplistically. Just very simplistically.
I really have no idea. Also because I'm not really good at breaking things down into steps.
Steps. Okay,
So
that's
even in
fine.
my own life,
Sure. Well, that's one of the things I test for here is ordinality. Do you know what ordinality links to? And breaking things into
no.
steps is ordinality. It links to extroverted thinking. So the thing is, the steps are this: um, they put the guys in the rocket ship, they shoot them into space, they orbit around a few times. Their orbiter falls back through the atmosphere and lands in the ocean. The Navy comes and picks them up, takes them home. End of mission. So, given that after they come back in through the atmosphere, they land in the ocean, and then the Navy comes picks them up. Does that change your interpretation of the saying?
Mm, maybe a little. But I think if someone's still saying that randomly in the middle of it, if you were to ask them and they say, "Oh, I'm like an astronaut in the ocean," it still sounds it still sounds like I'm not doing well.
It's funny.
To me.
I apparently am the only person that I can encounter that interpreted the way I interpreted it, which is
Really? Okay.
it means that the hard part's over and you're just waiting to get picked up.
I was gonna say, it's like, does this make me a pessimist? That I still feel
No,
like it
I'm the
sounds.
only one who seems to interpret it this way. So I don't know. I guess it's song lyrics. Okay,
Hmm.
let me ask you this question. This is a question somebody suggested I ask in a comment earlier. It says, a man and his wife um, are fine 1 minute, then spend 4 hours in a tube with people arguing around them, and then all of a sudden they're happy again at a tropical beach. What happened?
Hmm. Maybe they realized that whatever they were angry about wasn't a problem.
No, they took a plane. They took a plane to a tropical location.
But
Okay,
they're still not on good terms. Okay.
that's the first time I've ever asked this question. So the thing is, people were arguing around them. It wasn't they who were arguing. But regardless, that's the very first time I've ever asked that question. So let's move on to some stuff is a little more tried and true here. Can you tell me synonyms for the word mischievous?
Hmm.
Also pronounceable as mischievous.
Mischievous. I would say I associate it with curious a lot of times. A lot of times, people who are curious tend to be more mischievous. Um, Trouble. Those are the two that first come to mind for mischievous
Okay,
for
I'm going to
me.
tell you about my new invention. I'm going to ask you to come up with some snappy names for the marketing department, okay?
Go for it.
My new invention is a hat that has the capacity to eject balloons and blow them up with little nitrous oxide chargers in case you are suddenly find yourself at, say, a children's party and without a gift. Well, you could blow up a balloon and give it to them. It's a hat that blows up balloons.
That's really cool.
Okay, but it needs a name. The
A
snappy.
hat that blows up balloons. Hold up. Okay. Starting to feel creative. Hat that blows up balloons. Blow hat? No. Um, Balloon? No. Balloon hat? That's not creative. Blow hat? Uh, hmm. Do you have any names at all?
I mean, I could come up with some, but that. Remember, I don't actually have this invention. I'm not actually trying to market it. I'm just trying to figure
You're
out if
trying
you
to
can
see
come up with
how
names. Yeah.
I gotta deflect a little bit, Eric. Okay. Let's see. A hat that blows balloons.
Mm.
Let's just go with blow hat. I don't care how cheesy it is. We're going with
Okay,
blow
we're
hat.
going with blow hat, and you'll get a lot of people who think it has cocaine in it, and they'll be disappointed. But that's not a good enough reason to return it.
It's okay. It's whatever.
All right, let me pull this one. All right, can you tell me about your own relationship with task completion? Would you call yourself a procrastinator?
Whew. Yes.
Which kind of tasks are you more likely to procrastinate on, and which kind of tasks are you less likely to procrastinate on?
What kind of what?
Which kind of tasks you're more likely to procrastinate on, and which kind of tasks are you more likely to get done right away?
That is so hard. Because I don't know if there's anything I don't procrastinate on. That's.
You were here on time.
I was here on time. Okay, good point. Good point. but that also is, I would feel like I wouldn't be dependable, right?
Bro, so in other
So,
words, others' expectations dictate
yes.
your likelihood to follow through on a task. Can you hold up a second while I refill my coffee?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, you peacocks. Get out of here, you. Or eat those peanuts. Either way. Peacocks are fairly big birds, so it's easy to mistake the sound of them for people on the deck, but they poop all over the place.
Did you say a peacock?
Yeah, where I live, there's peacocks, wild peacocks all around.
No way.
Yeah, so, but they're kind of a pain in the ass, really.
Where do you live to have wild peacocks?
Arcadia, California.
Nice.
I live in this housing area that's right next to the Los Angeles County Arboretum, which
Okay.
basically there's now just a big flock of wild peacocks in the area. They walk all around the houses and stuff, and you gotta slow down for me, run them over with your car. they're very entitled. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna ask you now some introverted thinking questions, which are sort of like deductive reasoning problems. Can you tell me if some peacocks poop on my deck and some things that poop on my deck are named Steve, is it necessarily the case that some peacocks are named Steve?
No. Correlation does not equal causation.
You're correct with the first part. The second part, I don't think is irrelevant here. I don't think it's relevant here because this is just.
They could be named Steve.
Well, that's true. You're correct about it, but it's not because of a correlation causation thing. It's instead because the two sum sets don't necessarily overlap. Okay, so let me ask another one. Can you tell me what yesterday's tomorrow is in relation to today, given that today is Sunday?
Are you messing with me? Hold on. Say this again.
Yesterday's tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. You said 3 yesterdays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, Friday.
No, today's Sunday.
Yesterday.
Today is Sunday.
Oh, yeah, today's Sunday. So yesterday's Saturday, yesterday, Friday, and then yesterday's Thursday. Oh, so Friday.
Correct. Friday is the correct answer. Can you tell me who my mother's sister's husband's son's sister is in relation to me? You want me to repeat?
Mother's sister's. I'm totally gonna write this down.
Don't write it down. Just don't write it down. Just listen to me say it again, okay?
Okay. Mother's
sister's husband's son's sister.
Mother's sister's, which is your aunt, and her sister's husbands, so your uncles by marriage, their sons. So your cousins.
Yeah, cousin is correct. Okay, how about this? First, I'm going to ask it in symbols, and if you can't get that, then I'll give words to it, okay?
Okay.
So, if A or B, then C, and not C, what can we conclude?
If A and B
If A or B,
A or B.
then C. And not C.
And not C. Okay. I'm really bad at this. Is this a personality test or an intelligence test?
There's a personality test for sure. Okay, let me give you words, okay?
Okay.
I'll say the same thing but in words. If I have a dog or a cat, then I have a pigeon. And I don't have a pigeon. What can we conclude?
If you have a dog and a cat.
No, if I have a dog or a cat.
Or a cat, then you have a pigeon.
And I don't have a pigeon.
And you don't have a pigeon. Then you don't have a dog or a cat.
Correct.
One of them.
So now let's put it back into symbols. If A or B, then not C. I mean, if A or B, then C, and not C, what can we conclude?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. All right, fine. All right, so that's enough TI questions. Let me try.
TI. Whew. Okay.
So let me try a. Let me check TE this way, I guess. Do you ever cook for yourself sometimes?
Sometimes.
Okay. When you cook for yourself, do you clean up as you go, or do you wait to the end and then clean up?
I try to clean up as I go, but I'm not always good at it. We have a very small kitchen as well. So I'm in a very, very small apartment with a very small kitchen. So I kind of have to clean up as I go just to have space. But I usually do everything at the very end. But I try and I do a little bit of both, really.
Are you more likely to cook something on with heat, or you just microwave something?
A little bit of both. I usually do the air fryer.
Okay.
So heat, but then I also do something with microwave as well.
Okay.
Not a lot of definite answers here.
Can you think of a restaurant that you went to one time and you said, I am never going there again?
Gosh, the service would have to be really, really bad for me to say that.
Not the food?
Food, yes, but it has to be really, really awful service.
I'm sorry, you got all warbly there. Maybe can you refresh your tab?
I don't know. Can you hear me better now?
No, I mean, I still can't see you moving, and you're still warbly. Could you refresh your tab?
Okay.
Refresh your tab is something that waiters in the 70s would offer to do. Can I refresh your tab? People don't really drink tab anymore. Do they? I wonder, is it still available? Can you buy tab? If you can't, gosh, how sad. I never wanted tab. I never liked tab. Where is this? Is this lady refreshing her thing or what? Do I need to put this back again? What's going on here? What's going on here, lady? Lady Pants McGee? Yeah, this lady is so much like Rachel's sister. This is Rachel's sister twin she never met before. I mean, they actually even look kind of similar, but they really have a similar vibe about them. Hi there.
Okay.
You're back and better than ever.
Can you see me better?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay, this is my phone now.
I'm gonna kick out the other one.
This is okay. Yeah, I think this is my phone's a little better.
The phone app's probably better at dealing with iffy internet. So, okay.
Yep.
So, let's say you were offered a temporary job. I don't remember where we left off, but let's say you were offered a temporary job and you had two choices. One was to answer phone calls all day and calm down complaining customers, and the other choice was to go around and fix broken doorknobs, jiggling toilet handles, and other stuff like little environment problems like that. Which job do you want?
Well, since I definitely don't fix things, I don't fix things, so I guess I'll go with the complainers.
Okay. So, what happens if you try to fix things?
They get even more broken if that's possible. So I just don't.
Yeah, I have a kind of a similar problem. Physical objects are tough, you know.
I'm better. I'm better at fixing complaining people than I am things, objects.
Okay, cool.
So
Do you
I
have
guess I'll take the complaint.
do you know where your objects are? Like, for example, let's say you have a one large Tupperware container filled with your old photo albums. Do you know where it is?
No,
Do you have such a thing?
no. I have ideas of where I put things. No, but I have like I have a lot of stuff, and then I'll think that I know where something is, and then I'll get on these like random searches for things, and then I won't be able to find it, and so then I'll rummage through things for whatever it is that I'm looking for. So I guess the short answer is no. I have no idea where I put things.
Okay. Do you clean
And I
up?
always think I'm very orderly too. That's the funny thing. I think I am. So I think that I'm going to put this in the same spot every time, but I'm not going to remember where I put it.
Okay. Do you clean up before people come over to visit?
Do I clean up?
Before people come to visit you? Like if someone's coming over to your house, do you go, okay, I better tidy up or something? Okay, your internet is terrible. I want to
Yeah.
talk. I want to talk to you a little bit about about maybe how we should.
Here,
Let's
try
talk.
this.
Let's talk a
I
little
just took
tech.
myself off Wi-Fi.
Oh, you took yourself off the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Is that what you just said? You took yourself off the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I just took myself off right now. So I wonder if it's a Wi-Fi issue. Is it a little better now?
It actually seems better, even though you're. It would seem like it should be worse if you're off the Wi-Fi because you're just using what, telephone?
Yeah, but I think our Wi-Fi is off because when I refreshed the tab just a second ago on the computer, the whole thing was frozen.
Oh, okay.
So I
Cool.
think it's a Wi-Fi
No,
issue.
this is good.
Yeah.
This actually is way better, so that's fine. All right. So let me ask open-ended first. What values do you think it's important for yourself to uphold in the world? And then I'll give you some choices after that.
Okay. I have a lot though, so hang tight. Honesty, integrity. I've got a lot more though. Love. What are some of my other core values? Connection is a value of mine. What's another one? God, I've got so many, so hold on. What do I want to say? Autonomy is a big one. So I said autonomy, integrity, honesty, love, connection. I think that's a good list for right now. So we'll just keep it at that. Could keep going, but we'll just keep it at that.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the values in a second, but I just thought of a question I've never asked before. I want to ask you. When you were a kid,
Yay.
did you prefer piggyback rides or shoulder rides?
Piggyback rides.
And why?
Because I was afraid I was going to fall off on her shoulder.
It's funny. I said, if this question means anything at all, if it were to play out as in Dreamland, then she'd say, yeah, what you just said. That you prefer piggyback rides because you felt safer. Um, okay, cool. But now let's back to the values. Which value do you think is more important for you to uphold when they conflict? Um, Honesty or
Mhm.
kindness?
Okay, say the question again. Which
Which
one is
value do you think is more important
more
for you
important
to
to uphold?
uphold when they conflict? Honesty or kindness?
Oh gosh, because it seems like these two conflict a lot for me, um, which is usually when I withdraw. So I'm gonna go with kindness, but I still think you can be kind and not be dishonest. Just like I think you can be honest without being a dick. So there's that.
Okay. Would you rather somebody were unkind to you or dishonest to you?
Be unkind to me. I can take it. Be
Okay.
dishonest to me, and I'll distrust you forever.
Okay. So basically, you think that other people don't have as tough a relationship with their feelings as you?
I
Like,
think that. Wait, say that again.
okay, well,
That other
basically,
people don't have as
are most people
tough of
more
a
fussy than
relationship.
you? Basically, are most people more fussy than you?
I think most people are dishonest.
Okay, but I'm asking
I
you.
think
But
I think
listen,
a
the
lot
point
of
is
people
this.
are.
The point is this. You said for yourself that you think you should uphold being um, honest over being kind,
Kind.
right? So what I'm saying is, since you don't apply that same standard to yourself, you'd rather be treated unkindly than treated dishonestly. Um, is it the reason you think that it's better for you to be honest than kind? Is it because other people are more fussy than you?
Yeah, I think also that people have a hard time receiving the truth. So they'd rather hear a pretty little lie than hear the ugly truth. So yeah, I guess so.
Mm. I would love for in a few minutes for Rachel to just chat with you for a minute or
Okay.
two because I want to basically ask
Okay.
Rachel who does this person remind Rachel of. So, um,
Oh no.
so
Okay.
so pull your bowls first, and then I'll call you in a couple minutes. If you want to pull that outside or somewhere, or if you want to sit down. So I'm going to bring that couch back in here. I decided.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just going to put it over there instead.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
Hey,
why.
fine.
Rachel.
She
Hey.
says hi.
Hi.
She can't hear you because it's the headphones.
Oh yeah.
Uh, okay, so yeah, I'll call you in just a couple minutes. You want to take that outside for right now,
Okay.
and I will bring the couch back in.
Sure. Is there a lighter?
There's a lighter right here.
Thank you.
You can go through here. It'll be easier. You don't need to go that
Okay.
way. There's a bigger space
I
to
am
walk through
dying
here
to know
now,
That
what
is.
my Myers Briggs is.
huh? Okay. I feel already quite confident that I know what it is, but let's see if we can confirm that with some other tests. Uh,
I can tell. I can tell by your face. Like he's withholding on me.
I'm not, I'm not withholding. I just don't like to say it and be wrong. And I am sometimes. Like I
Mhm.
get to the end of a typing session, it's only a certain amount of time I spent with a person. I've done some cursory checking in area meow, and the initial results from it were meow, and I really needed to test more there because if I didn't, if I had, I would have realized that was misleading initial results, and I now I see she or he is actually a meow. So I try to avoid that by double checking shit before I
Mm.
make my claim. Okay. What do you think is more important for a significant other to provide for you? reliability or kindness?
Reliability.
How about
That was
reliability or
tough though.
how
But I do
about
want kindness.
how about reliability or fairness?
Reliability or fairness? Reliability.
Okay. Do you think it's more important for a significant other to uh, follow through on what they say they're going to do or follow through on what they say they're not going to do?
Follow through on what they say they're going to do.
Okay, cool. So, have you ever heard of the Inky Pinky game before?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples, then I'll ask you one and see if you can get it, okay? First example is the clue is hilltop waterspout. It's an inky pinky, which means the answer has 2 syllables in each word, and the answer is mountain fountain. The answer is always going to rhyme, okay? And here's your other example. Roadway flesh is the clue. It's an ink pink, which means each of the words has 1 syllable in it, and the answer is street meat. Do you get the concept?
Sort of.
Okay, I'll give you another example. This is the cow flesh part of a tree's sun grabbing section. And it's an ink pink. And the answer is leaf beef. All right. Let me try.
This is
Okay.
not following.
Let me give you the one I usually start out with, which is this. So your clue is bunny addiction, and it's an inky pinky, which means the answer has 2 syllables in each word. Can you tell me what the answer might be?
It was bunny, and the other one was addiction.
Yeah, bunny addiction, and it's an inky pinky.
Bunny addict.
No, it's rabbit habit.
Rabbit habit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Rabbit habit. All right.
All right. So, can you tell me a time in your life when a single event was dramatic and you learned a lesson from it, and then follow that up with tell me a time where you didn't learn a lesson until it happened through you 3 times?
I'd say a reoccurring one would be to stop getting in friendships where it's not reciprocal. Because if it's not reciprocal, it isn't a friendship anyway. And for whatever reason, I guess I need to learn this lesson a million different times. I think I'm finally there yet, but I don't want to jinx it. I think I've finally learned it. But I've experienced that one probably more than 3 times. Probably more than 3 times.
And by that you mean that you're giving too much and getting too little?
And they just don't even know how to show up. I pick the most selfish and self-centered people that want to dump on me and consider that friend. Oh, they're dumping on me. They're giving me the time of day. What a great friend. Not anymore, but yes.
Oh, Maggie, good. You're here.
Very
You've got
few
nothing better to
definitions.
do than listen to me complain.
Yes. It's like, let me just dump all over you. And then if you share anything back, I'm going to suddenly ghost you. It's like, oh, that's nice.
Okay. When you're nesting, what does the word nesting mean to you? For yourself?
For me, it's getting comfy, but that's obviously not hard to do for me. That's nesting for me. But also,
Are you getting comfy like on the couch in front of a screen, or are you talking about going to bed?
I'm usually getting in bed, but I can get comfy on the couch as well with a fuzzy blanket. and I drink. Like right now, I've got 2 drinks on me. I've always got something. I've got an energy drink and a water. I always have like everything I need that I want with a fuzzy blanket
Okay.
and, and like pajama bottoms and fuzzy socks.
Okay. How do you feel emotionally right now?
I don't want to say good. That's too boring. So I'll say I'm feeling hopeful.
Okay.
I guess I'm
And
feeling hopeful.
and how do you think I'm feeling right now?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I was like, he's going to ask me that question. I'm really good at mind reading, and that's not a good thing. So I'm not going to try and guess what you're feeling. But if I had to guess, I would say you're feeling content.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty content, I guess. I'm feeling happy, I think. I feel happy because you're such a nice, tidy example of your type. That makes me happy. I don't like people who are messy, who like aren't are giving me like making me draw mixed conclusions. Let me have Rachel chat for you a little bit about um, what you do in your spare time and also what your sort of who I was, who I am, who I shall be story is. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so why don't you start with that one, Rachel? Why don't you let's let her tell you who she was, who she is, who she shall be.
Ow. Hello.
Hey.
So, who do you think you were? Who do you think you are? And who do you think you will be?
Who I was, so I'm going to describe what I was when I was a kid. I was very confident, boisterous, energetic, independent. I was also quite the performer. Then how I am now, I feel like recently I've been becoming integrating more of who I was as a kid more into who I am now. But I did have a huge people-pleasing phase, not confident, didn't feel very independent despite what people saw. So I feel like a lot of that as a kid was suppressed. And so now I am in the stage of integrating who I was as a kid, because it's like she obviously knew who she was then. So now I'm communicating with little Maggie a little bit more. So now I would describe myself as more embodied, curious. I'm still curious. I never outgrew my stage. I think I appear more energetic than I am, but passionate, honest, and who I will be someone who who I will be. Probably just even more embodied, if there's such a thing.
What is embodied?
Embodying everything that I ever. To me, embodied is the full integration of everything that I am, like both the good and the not so good, and full acceptance of all that is. So all the things that I have suppressed through childhood will now have a deeper acceptance so that I can integrate it into who I am.
Okay, cool. Let me take back over.
We're getting all philosophical here.
No, that was great.
Unless you have
Honestly,
any
that's
specific
so
questions,
like
go
so mature, and it really does sound like you're on your way towards your goals. So that's very admirable.
It's you're rising up. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. You can go for here if you like. Anybody specifically she reminds you of that comes to mind, Rachel? If not, think about it for a bit outside. I'll ask you again later.
Is it someone you guys know?
Physically or just the way that she speaks?
A little bit of both. I mean, just her personality and stuff. No?
No, I
Okay.
can't.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay, so, I was listening on another pair of headphones, so I could hear the answers to that. Okay, if you let's play World Mic Power. You know that game?
No, I do not.
You have the mic for 30 seconds. It gets broadcast into everybody's ears and translated into their language all over the world at the same time. What words of wisdom do you share with the world?
Okay. Man, I feel like I have so much. But I'd be... When we give compassion to others, we are learning to give compassion to ourselves. And when we give compassion to ourselves, it is easier to give compassion to others. There's this cycle of when I show myself compassion, love and compassion, I can then extend it to others. So right now, that would be my little words of wisdom. Because I always know that when I'm a little bit more self-critical of my, when I'm more self-critical, I will in turn be more critical of others.
Do you have a tendency to,
which is what I want to be?
do you have a tendency to beat yourself up?
100%.
Yeah, I used to be. I still.
I think
beat
I've even
myself
done
up
it in this
sometimes.
session. Yeah, I've even done it in this session.
Interesting. So, where do you think you're? Do you think the core of you is more closely linked to being useful, being of value because you're uniquely you, or being fair? Useful, authentic, or fair? Where's the core chunk of Maggie? Where's the
Useful.
kernel of this hard drive?
Authentic.
Authentic. Okay.
Authentic. What you see is what you get. Because it's also consistent. That who I am now is also who I am at work.
Okay.
What you see is what you get.
So, does that mean that you're very moody?
No.
So it doesn't really matter if your mood changes. You expect to authentically
I-
display the same.
Can be like anyone else. But
Okay, I can't. You're really cutting out. But I'm gonna.
my mood is pretty. Values is also living authentically. Okay. What about now? Should I
Yeah, you can
change
just
room?
maybe just turn off the camera. Is
Okay,
fine.
can you hear me?
As long as I can hear you, is fine. Yeah. It seems better now. But
Oh no.
like, can you be? So why isn't it necessary,
Okay.
or why
Okay.
is it the case, for example, that being irritable is less authentic than something else?
Okay, so I'm really glad you asked this question because what comes up for me a lot is it's not necessarily that being irritable isn't authentic. It's more of if my actions are not in alignment with how I feel, I'll feel like I'm not authentic. And that's not necessarily true, but that's that internal conflict that I struggle with. I struggle with my behavior is not matching my feelings. And so it feels like there's a disconnect. When there feels like there's a disconnect, I will tend to withdraw because I want them to match. I want them to be in alignment.
Okay. So earlier in the session, you had to convey to me a bit of a personal boundary when I was pushing on the TI questions too much. Now, the thing is, I actually usually, or often enough, start the TI questions with a little disclaimer that says, a lot of people don't like me doing a lot of testing in this area. But I didn't start it this time with that disclaimer. So, does it in general make you, do you feel like you did a good job when you establish a personal boundary in some way like that? Or are you just mad at the other person for making you establish a personal boundary?
I think it was easier for me to do it with you because it just was not even a thing. I didn't even realize that I did it. I was really just feeling stupid, and I wanted to bypass those questions. So it was just a way of me deflecting.
You didn't do poorly on them compared to the average people.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like I did. But when it comes to like more personal relations and boundaries, because I'm getting better at doing it, it's not as bad as it used to be. But it's getting easier for me to do it because have they really crossed a boundary if they didn't know there was one there? You know, so even though I may feel initially agitated, if they didn't know there was a boundary there, you know, that's on me to not express it.
Okay.
So then I settle it.
When there are certain things that make me say to Eric, go, Eric, you fucking idiot. God, why are you such a moron? And it's usually something like me going to pick up the couch to move inside and then realize, because the couch is outside at the moment, and then realize that I didn't open the door or raise the blinds, so I need to go put the couch down and then go do that. Something like that will make me yell at myself like that. What sort of thing in life, and I'll give you examples if you don't like the open-ended version of this, but I'll say open-ended first. What sort of thing in life is equivalent for you?
God, I think I beat myself up so much that this could really be anything. But I'm trying to think if there's a recent example. Maggie, why do you let people talk to you that way? Or why didn't you say all of this while it was happening? That's a big one. Because it's like all the things I wanted to say come later because I process my feelings after the fact, which sucks. So that's another thing I'll beat myself up about. Why couldn't you have processed this in real time?
So
you could have said all the good stuff then.
So the things that you come up with to say later, you come up with them after you've processed your feelings, right?
Yeah.
But are the things that you come up with to say, are they correct expressions of your feelings, or are they snappy retorts?
Both. So even in my head, I'll think of the diplomatic way of saying it, and then I cannot believe I'm telling you this. I am imagining the whole conversation, and so I'll imagine someone else being snappy to me and handling it diplomatically, and I'll handle it diplomatically for so long, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then if they keep pushing, now I'm going to give them the response I feel.
Okay.
It's like poking a bear long enough and you're going to get a bear, right? I'll be diplomatic and honest. But if someone's going to keep pushing,
and before they know it,
diplomacy's going out the window.
they're getting a snappy retort. Pow.
it's like, screw diplomacy. We're done now. It's like enough of the diplomacy when I'm in the heat of the moment is really just a warning. This is my warning. I'm being diplomatic right now because I'm feeling aggressive.
Okay, cool. So, do you ever get mad at yourself for something like forgetting to pick up a loaf of bread that you intended to get on the way home?
I'm so used to doing that it's just kind of like, oh, of course, here we are.
Okay.
I forgot again. Or really, it's not even so much about forgetting. It's more about me not being good at prioritizing. So I'll prioritize something else over another thing.
Choose not to stop.
So maybe I prioritize.
Store.
Yeah, I chose not to stop at the store because I prioritized someone who really needed to talk on the phone or meet up because they needed to dump on me. Or something like that.
I see. Okay, interesting. I think that's great that you made that distinction without any prompting there between actually not remembering and actually not following through. It drives home the fact that they're different things, right? Okay, have you heard me ask people for a potato touch example from their own life?
I have not. What
okay,
is this?
So I'll tell this quick potato touch story, and then I'm going to ask you to give me a comparable story from your own life, okay? The potato touch story goes as follows. I went to a restaurant, I used to go to a restaurant called Norm's, and if you ordered a full meal there, it came with a baked potato. I sat at the counter at Norm's, where you can see the food coming down from the chefs to the waiters, and I noticed that when they had meals, they pushed the potato ends of the potato with their fingers to make it open up, and then they scooped the butter in. And I didn't like that. I never ordered a meal, really, but I thought to myself, if I ever do order a meal, I'm going to keep my eagle eye on my plate, and if they touch my potato too much, I'm going to tell them, I don't want that potato, you touched it too much. Give me another potato. So one day, of course, sure enough, like a week later, I did order a meal there. And I followed through my plan. I kept an eagle eye out. And then all of a sudden my plate was delivered to me. And I was like, well, what happened? Well, I saw that I had ordered rice pilaf. I didn't get the baked potato. So this is an example of me sticking with my memory plan when I should have noticed something obvious that changed reality. That I don't need to keep an eye out for my baked potato if I didn't order one, right? Can you give me a comparable example from your own life?
Okay, maybe it's something that I've committed on doing, but the outcome has changed. I don't know if I can think of anything like offhand. Because I also don't make those kinds of commitments to myself. I just don't, because I just don't even think about them. So I guess you're alone there, Eric. I'm just kidding.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. Can you think of an example of a time when you used a previous experience to successfully inform your decision making this time? In other words, where you learned from a mistake? Like last time I tried to use this thing, I burned myself. I'm not going to make that mistake again.
I'm going to see if I can think of a recent one. What's a recent one? Because I'm sure I just had something recently. Okay. Mine is always, don't automatically assume when someone asks you how you're doing or how you feel that they actually care. I would say, and so mine is always check for consistency. If they are consistently showing up like they care, then they might, and you can give them little nuggets, but don't give someone everything when they haven't shown you that they are worthy of the trust.
Okay.
That's a big one for me.
Okay, so then let me give
That's a big one for me.
Let me give you an example of how I want you to retell that story, okay? Something like, For example,
Okay.
Mark at work, he was new and he showed up and he said, "Oh, I'm going to do this and this and this." But I said, "Hey, remember, don't trust him until you see some actual follow through, or else he's going to disappoint you." And then, sure enough, he turned out not to be good at it, and he got fired like a week later. And I was glad I used my reminding myself of that. So, can you tell me a story like that?
I don't know any like offhand to come up with like a specific one. I think that's why I was struggling telling it. Because I don't know if I can think of a specific one. Surely I've got other ones. Let me see.
Well, earlier you mentioned like figuring out what you would say in that conversation had if you had thought of it quick enough. Do you sometimes re-encounter, or can you think of an occasion when you re-encountered a similar enough conversation that you used that planning out from before in the new conversation?
Will change so much that I can't be snarky. Do you know how annoying that is? Like I was so ready to be my snarky self, and the outcome changed so much that now I can't even show them how clever I am. So yes, but it changed so much that, like I said, now I can't. I can't be snarky.
Okay, so I mean, the thing is,
maybe we reached an understanding, or maybe they're not being an asshole.
okay, well, it's never gonna work out with the same person that way. So it's like if Joe is the one who deserved your snarky comment, he's not gonna give you another example of the same pitch. So you're not gonna have a chance to snark him. But what may happen is that George gives you an example of a pitch very similar to the one that Joe snarked you on, and then now you've got your snarky reply almost ready for it. You just have to change it a little bit to make it fit to George.
I think what yes, but I wanted it at the first one
because that's who I had the plan with.
Right, okay. But you'll wish you had killed it in the second one after the second one too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not necessarily, because I may have wanted to be super snarky to that one person because they've been a consistent asshole to me. They may have been consistently showing up as an asshole where I go, I'm done. And that other person, maybe they just had a bad day today.
So what you need is two assholes who don't know each other. You need two assholes who don't know each other, but consistently behave as assholes in the same way, but not in the same order. So then you can learn from one to get the other one. Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah, just have my anger flare up all over the place.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what type you are now, and I have till 12:15, at which point I have to meet with this student, which is annoying me because normally I don't like having end times on these things exactly. I like to let them roll until they naturally end. But this tiger mother, it wants me to. It's so annoying. I don't even know what to say about it. It's like I don't want to work on that fucking English assignment anymore with your kid. I already told you I don't like this dumbass shit, you know? But anyway, but she talks me into it. She cajoles me. Regardless, you're an ISFJ. And you're a pretty textbook ISFJ, with a couple of minor exceptions. I would expect you to be a little stronger at some of the give me an example of stuff. But across the board, you test ISFJ. You test TE polar, TI third, NI fourth, FE tool, and SI dom. It's like everything. You're very, very textbook answers.
I'm very surprised. Okay, do you want to know how I typically test?
Sure.
I typically test as INFP, but I'm usually on the line of ENFP. Like, I think the I and the F is not surprising at all to me. The S is the most surprising because I don't really think very much here and now.
Well,
I think that's
no.
something I've had to learn to grow into.
No, you're not very present in the
So what's
moment.
S?
But yeah, you're an ISFJ. Now, I will say this, that ISFJs are poorly described in the typology community. As I tell ISFJs every time I type one, the very best commenters on the channel who leave some of the most insightful and effective comments are ISFJs. Oliver Linehan is one of the smartest guys around the channel, and he's an ISFJ. And he's one of the most well versed in basically being intuitive about this stuff. But that's because SI is a learning function. So, in terms of the behavioral correlates and interest correlates that we tend to think go along with intuitives, for SI DOMs, it's really about what they're interested in and what they direct their attention to learning. And if they willfully learn something, they can get really deep in knowledge about it. And if they don't willfully learn something, they won't just pick it up. So, because you're interested in personality type stuff and so forth, it means you're interested in basically intuitive subject matter. And the more you read, the more you learn. You're 0% chance ENFP because you're definitely not TI polar. Your TI question answers were too good for TI polar. And I've got plenty of test data to show that there's no 0 chance you're ENFP. Now, INFP is also really not even possible because everything you're describing is somebody who's FE tool and is struggling with a reality of that nice people have about getting walked over. That's not an INFP who's. It's difficult. For example, if you try to make plans with an INFP and say, "Oh, Judy, can you come over and talk with me? I really need to talk right now." The INFP will say, "Sure. Let me just get ready to go." And then 3 to 4 months later, the INFP will call you and say, "Okay, I think I'm getting ready to meet with you now, but I just have to think about a few more things and feel my way through whether I'm ready to leave the house or because right now I'm feeling things a lot, and I'm they are not like you at all. There's no way they're gonna get dumped on by a bunch of people. That's very FE tool. FE tool has a very difficult time, telling people to fuck off.
That makes sense. So, what would be my socionics?
Your socionics would be, you'd be called capital I, capital S, capital F, little p, or you'd be called in the 3-letter thing.
Or what would be the socionics?
Okay, the 3-letter socionics would be S E I. SEI. I always have to figure those ones out. I don't have them memorized.
Do you have any idea?
I'm sorry.
Could you
cutting out.
probably guess what my Enneagram would have been based on my responses?
Well, I can do a quick anagram test.
Is it better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. I can do a quick anagram test for you, which is my anagram test, which is very straightforward for a tri-type. So, okay, first question. How do you respond to fear? Do you research something so that you understand it so you're not scared of it? Do you nest and use your existing resources to address the problem? Or do you hide your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist?
The last.
Okay. In response to people who come at you with anger, do you pow angry back? Do you say okay, here's what you want, or do you say, well, I'm not going to talk to you if you're like that, and run away?
None of the above, honestly. Can I tell you what I actually do, and you can put me in one of your categories?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm really angry. A lot of the times I will not realize that I'm angry. Well, okay, I'll know that I'm angry, but I become
just as numb, probably just as quick as I became angry. And then over time, the anger will magnify, and I'll feel that anger that happened from a week ago, from that incident from a week ago, and now I'm ready to talk about it. So now I'm going to.
But what happened at that incident, though? I'm not talking about what happens a week later. I'm saying what happens in the moment.
In that incident, like in that moment, I'm probably telling myself to calm down.
But did you yell at him?
So I'm more concerned about.
Did you?
No, I'm probably like starting to shut down because I know, like, my anger gets so strong that I'm more concerned about having a heart attack.
Okay, but what I'm asking you is, what does your behavior look like to a third party? Are you silent?
I'm actually between being silent and or I hate saying this, kind of passive aggressive.
Okay. All right, and then the last question is, how do you know you have worth? Is it by being helpful, by being high achieving, or is it because fuck you and your rules?
Being helpful.
Okay. Which of those questions was easiest to answer?
The first and the last. Probably the first. That's pretty typical.
Okay.
Had my head in the sand.
So you're 729. And I will tell you what that tri-type is called. Oh, I think it's... No, that's not Rachel's type. Rachel's 749. Okay, let's see. The way I have to get here is type in 784 Curve Surfer, which takes me to the page I'm looking for, and then I'll find 729. Okay. Let's see. 7 126 127 135 147 259 268 269 27. Okay, 729 is called the Harmonizer. Gentle-hearted, innovative, and helpful, seeks harmony with sense of humor while retaining ability to inspire. And it says here you should be SXSO, which means you ideally would see yourself, you're either going to ideally see yourself as part of a two-person team, in other words, you like to couple, or you see yourself and your partner as part of a larger group, one of those two, rather than you want to keep you and your partner's identities separate. That's what it says here. I don't know how much weight to put into this.
Okay.
Okay, so I know you have a lot of thoughts about, like, you need to be more boundary-ish and less of a harmonizer. But remember, there's a lot of value in being a harmonizer, even if people don't always acknowledge it. So, unfortunately, I have to go right now. I'm going to stop this video.
Okay.
Do you want me to share it with you privately, or are you okay with me publishing?
Yeah, you can publish it, but I do want to know, what is your type?
I'm an ENTP 784.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, so we've got very similar Enneagram. Okay.
All right, cool.
ENTP, isn't that's the debate?
Yeah, I am actually, and I actually am a debate coach. So, all right, thanks a lot.
That makes sense.
Bye. I'll publish this shortly.